Hello, I'm John Hemingway. Welcome back to Shropshire. Now, there are some things in farming that we cannot control. The weather, of course, being the obvious one. Nothing has been more apparent over the last 12 months than that. However, one type of storm that we can normally prevent is the abortion storm. Now, if you're into sheep farming, you've either had an abortion storm or you know somebody who's had one. We see them every single year. They are very, very common, and in the most part, they are preventable. Now, I am, of course, aware that the country is in the midst of a Schmallenberg outbreak at the moment, and it's all very well me saying that abortion storms are preventable when there are people that are losing 30-40% of their lambs, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it at the moment. But let's focus on what we can do, and also in terms of Schmallenberg, recognise that there's a second hidden cost in that it could be masking some other diseases that are also going on. For example, there will be some people who saw a lot of dead embryos when they were scanning, and they put it down to Schmallenberg when actually it was toxo. There'll be people that are having a lot of late-term abortions to Schmallenberg and assuming it's all Schmallenberg, but actually enzootic abortion or Campylobacter are there as well, contributing to the problem, and they haven't been looked into. So I'm aware that some people are having an absolutely torrid time at the moment with Schmallenberg, but let's try not to let it pull the wool over our eyes in terms of other diseases that could be slipping through the net. So with that, here are some things you should know about abortion.
People often talk about toxo and enzootic abortion in the same sentence as though they're sort of interchangeable diseases, but toxoplasma is actually a very different disease. First of all, it doesn't spread from ewe to ewe. It can't spread between sheep like that. It has to come from a cat to start with, and normally that's contamination of sheep feed with cat feces. Now, toxo can be a cause of abortion and you can get late loss of the lamb, but actually toxo will cause loss of the embryo at any stage of pregnancy depending on when the ewe was infected. If she's infected early in pregnancy, you'll get early loss of the embryos, and when you come to scan, the animal will just look empty, or you might see dead embryos in there. If they're infected in the middle of pregnancy, you can get lambs that disappear in between scanning and lambing. We talked about this in a previous video. If the ewe's infected after the point where the lamb can be reabsorbed, you often end up with a sort of half gestational mummified lamb, often that comes out alongside a normal one at lambing time. The good news with toxo is that there is a highly effective vaccine. It just takes one injection and that animal is protected for her productive life. This is the big one. This is the one that often causes those catastrophic abortion storms that we've all witnessed. Now, this disease is caused by a type of chlamydia, and it's particularly unpleasant because it will cause ewes to abort even if they're infected outside of pregnancy. If a ewe is infected when she's not pregnant, that bacteria will stay in her system until she is next pregnant, then it will attack the placenta and cause abortion right at the end of pregnancy, and we're talking about the last month or so. When that ewe aborts that dead lamb, the lamb and all the fluid that comes out with it are teeming with the chlamydia bacteria. And of course we know when a ewe aborts a lamb, the first thing we see is a load of other ewes come and start sniffing around it. Well, those ewes, if they're exposed to those fluids and those dead lambs, they will go on to abort the following year. So an outbreak of enzootic abortion can start with just 1 or 2 abortions one year, which then contaminate a great number of ewes, which all go on to abort the following year, and that is your abortion storm. Fortunately, again, there's a highly effective vaccine against enzootic abortion, and again, just one injection will protect the ewe for her productive life, and it's safe to give at the same time as the toxoplasma vaccine. Now, Campylobacter, it's a bit of an odd one. You can think of this as a bacteria that just lives in the gut normally, quite happily, but unfortunately sometimes causes abortion. A flock will often go down with this disease if they've brought in an animal that happens to be carrying this particular strain of Campylobacter. Very often we see this as an abortion storm, late-term pregnancy loss about a month before lambing is due. It's very important to differentiate whether the issues you're having are due to enzootic abortion or whether they're due to Campylobacter. They look almost the same, but the vaccines, of course, are different. It's It's really important to diagnose what has caused your abortion storm, and then we know what to vaccinate for subsequently. A lot of people are having Schmallenberg this year. That doesn't mean that something else isn't going on as well. To definitively diagnose these diseases, what you need are the aborted lambs and the placenta. If you get your vet to sample them, very often we will get a definitive diagnosis of what caused that abortion. Aborted lambs, placenta. Now, I hope that's been a useful roundup of these handful of diseases. Identifying the problem is really important. We've got very effective vaccines. If there's one thing that we really want to do when everything's going wrong, it's make sure that it doesn't happen next year. So if you're having abortion issues, speak to your vet, get a diagnosis, make sure it doesn't happen again. I hope you've enjoyed this short video. I'll be back soon with another one. I hope to see you there.